What is the crack? Big Scott here with the 49ers cap in hand, but I'm taking it off tonight because I've just been told off for wearing red. Hope you're all well. Make sure you do click that like if you've just joined us in one of the bottoms there. I'm not very good with these geographical locations of buttons and stuff. Right, we are going to go straight into it because we've got a jam-packed show tonight. And I'm joined back with, of course, Big Lou. What's a crack, mucker?
Yeah, all right, Scott. How are you, mate?
We've got Green Screen Ed.
Hello.
And in for United Look, we have Jay from More Than Knows Better. What's the crack, mate?
Now then, how's it going, boys?
Right.
Not bad.
We have got a lot to cover because it's been about 3 weeks since we last met.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
That. Yeah, because we'll put this, but the last time we all were together in one of these, it was Bielsa was in charge, and
8 points clear.
8 points clear of the bottom, and now we're down there still with, well, at least we're doing better than Fat Frank anyway. But look, let's get straight into this because I've loads I want to cover, and the first thing I want to get your thoughts on, gents, is the worst week in Premier League football history, surely. Everyone we played, 14, Leeds 2. Lou, let's kick this off. You were at the Scum game, I believe.
Yeah.
On the thing published by the police, I just want to point out you are not K. Is that correct?
I'm not what?
You're not K on the police screen grab, no?
No.
That's all right.
I felt angry enough to be one of those guys, but I didn't pack any golf balls, so maybe that's one for the next Scum game. Yeah.
The golf balls. It's better than throwing coins, at least, I suppose.
All of that is pretty mad, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Not allowed.
But again, and I'm not saying I think it's okay to throw stuff at players, but if you're going to run and celebrate in front of the opposing fans, you're going to get a reaction.
Yeah, I mean the atmosphere was brilliant that day. It was toxic, and I think just some people get carried away. We obviously had probably our best minute of the season, I guess, in that 24 seconds. But I that's as good as it got, really. The bruises just meant from shins and backs and wherever. I was bundling down steps in the cheese wedge that day, and it was great for that time. Fast forward to the Spurs game. I don't think I've been more depressed at Ellen Road in my entire life. Just getting beat 4-0, and I sort of, I'm quite good at resetting. So when we do lose, I and a week will pass, and I sort of go with the same optimism as I always would, thinking, I'll look at the team sheet, I'll kid myself that it's going to be all right. You don't really think about how battered the players' confidence is. You just think, we're Leeds United. We need to, pull our fingers out and actually get a result, and it didn't happen. And I was sat in the East stand, so thankfully it wasn't as toxic for the Spurs game, but it was, pretty depressing. And it did feel like the end that day, didn't it? As angry as a lot of fans were about the results and everything, it felt like the end. And by the sounds of it, from listening to Phil Hay and everything, and some of the leaked rumours at the time, it probably was before that game even started.
Yeah. Ed, after that delightful game against Scum, we'll then take a wee trip to the Bin Dippers in Liverpool, who nearly beat us as badly as Man City. What were your feelings after that there? Losing 2 in a row, conceding 10 goals. What were you left thinking after the Liverpool game before we even got the Spurs?
I wasn't really thinking anything. I expected it really from the Liverpool game, but I don't know. It's the manner of the defeat, really. The fact that we literally didn't do anything in that game to suggest that we would get anything from any games going forward. It was it was dreadful. 6-0. You don't like reading that at all. You're expecting it, but once it happens, it's like, yeah, we've been well and truly embarrassed there. It really, really was embarrassing. You got other teams like Norwich going there. Norwich gave Liverpool a really good game. We go there and just let them score. The first 3 goals were probably the weakest goals you'll ever see. I mean, that Matip goal was just unacceptable, really, for no one to pick him up. And we see that so often. We just let opposition centre backs just run through our team, and Matip on this occasion scored. So yeah, it wasn't great.
2 soft penalties though. I mean, we've not had luck as well, but because we had been because we've been so bad recently. We're almost sort of not entitled to talk about those decisions because we'd have probably still lost 4-0, maybe even 5-0, but it doesn't help. I at 70 minutes when it was still 3-0, I was not content, but it was 3-0. It's not completely embarrassing. They're a good side, so we weren't helped in that way either. And Mo Salah's done nothing since that game either, really, not really. So that was frustrating because.
It's funny you saying that, Luke, because I remember saying during the watch along, and it was 3-0 at the time, and I had said during the watch along that if we can keep this to 3-0, that's an improvement. Yeah, that's an improvement, and that's just sort of how bad we've been playing. That if you think losing by 3 goals is an improvement,
But it doesn't look like fine margins when you just see the result on paper. But even at the Spurs game, I mean. Not just Dallas's ridiculous miss. We had tons of chances in that game as well. Yeah. It would be really interesting to see if if we hadn't have lost by those margins, even just scored an extra couple of goals, if Bielsa would maybe even still be in a job. Yeah. I think it's the fact that we didn't score against Liverpool and Spurs that
there's a lack of fight.
Yeah.
Jay, I'm going to come to you for the final game of this week now, or of that week. Spurs, the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will.
Lucky me. It's not just the straw that broke the camel's back, mate. It's the straw that broke the bloody TV and the cheese wedge bar as well, because that's now got a big white square on it that you can't watch anything on since that game.
Yeah. See, whenever it went half-time, what were you left thinking? Because there was boos ringing around the stadium.
Oh, God.
And like I'm getting messages from people. Like I was at a bar, obviously in Belfast, with
I'm shocked.
Supporters watching it. And I was getting messages from people saying, Bielsa's gone by the end of the day. Was that the feeling on the ground?
Well, I will say this. There was a point in that game, and I can't remember if it was 1-0 or 2-0, but I turned to the guy at the side of me who's there every week, and I said to him, if we get Ahmed here, I don't see him surviving this. And I said that to him. And the boos at half-time, I also said, has the Bielsa team ever been booed off before? Because I don't remember it. The only one that could have happened... No, the only one where that might have happened could have been that Wigan game. But I can't remember whether it did or not. But the fact that was happening, that's unprecedented in his reign at Leeds. No one ever has sort of turned on him and given him any abuse or any real hassle or got at him, and then the team's getting booed off like that half-time and full-time, and I can understand why Rads might have got jittery and thought, right, no, we've got to change something, because it's been like a conveyor belt of identikit games. It's like the last 3 or 4 games or whatever, maybe the last 5, 6.
Yeah.
That thing that Lou, I think it was, said about Matip. It was you that said about Matip's goal, wasn't it? My memory's gone blank now. But,
I was talking about the soft penalties, but the walking through
okay.
That was just as soft. Yeah.
The one where he ran through like that and no one picked him up was all because of the same system, the man marking, that had seen Coutinho pull Ayling out of central defence time and time again against Villa. And then we're doing that consistently against teams with better players, teams with really class players, and we're expecting a different result with the same people. It's just not going to happen. And I can see why the board might have thought this is only going in one direction, because a lot of people in the stands were also thinking we need something to change. Nobody wanted to say it. Nobody wanted to say change manager. I would still have stood by him, but I would have hoped that he would change. But something had to change.
I don't even think it's not a bold. It wasn't a bold opinion to have on the day. I don't think. Like,
oh no, not at that point.
Not at that point. I mean, a couple maybe after the Scum game, you heard a few sort of murmurs from people, but I think, like I said, with everything that sort of came out, it maybe was the end. And if there's any truth in the whole senior players trying to have a chat with Bielsa about maybe trying to tweak the tactics a little bit, or if there's any truth in that at all, and he still said, you know, no, fuck off, not a chance of changing anything, which is, but if that did happen, by the sounds of it, pretty much how it went, then the right decision has been made, because there's no, and we'll never know. There's no way of saying that we'll even stay up with Jesse Marsch, but the Leicester performance made, like, it wasn't good, but in result terms, but it made you feel like at least from now on we could get a few results.
Yeah.
The
difference
completely gone.
The difference with the Leicester game and Spurs was we've gone from looking like we could never win a game ever again to looking like we might win a game, and that's a big difference. There were nothing there against Spurs by that point. There's just nothing left in the tank.
Like Jesse said it himself, that we deserved to win that Leicester game. And if it wasn't for 𝐘𝐲 Schmeichel having arguably the best match of the season as a goalie, we were putting 4 or 5 past Leicester. You know, the one that Rafinha missed, you're like, he could have placed that anywhere, and I still think 𝐘𝐲 was saving it. That's just how good he was. And yeah, I hate having to give someone else credit for that, but I think it was a much better performance from us. But I think leading up to that week and every press conference, I think Bielsa was almost saying himself, I can't take this club further, because every time he was asked about, does he think about changing tactically, he answered it saying, I don't know what to do. And I think essentially, without sounding too harsh, that kind of dug his own grave. So I think no matter what, he'll be a legend at this club, for the culture and the mentality and the kind of ethos he's brought with him. But the king is dead. Long live the king. Marching on together, y'all. What am I making so far? What's the impression you're getting from Jesse Marsch? Ed, you've been very quiet down there. We've let these two boys do a lot of talking. Ed, what are you feeling so far in this brief period of time we have had from Jesse?
I think it's a decent appointment. I think it's a smart appointment. You know, because he still plays. You know, he likes to his team's playing a front foot. He likes attacking football, so it's not that big of a transition for the players in that aspect. And you know, he speaks very well. He comes across very well in his interviews. I do think the fact that he does speak fluent English will help the players a lot. You know, I know Bielsa probably speaks more English than he let on in his interviews, but you know, I think most of the time it's through translators. So in terms of Marsch getting his messages across to the players, it will be a lot clearer. And I thought we played well against Leicester. It was the best game from us in a while. We didn't look like we were going to concede at all. Obviously, we let a goal in, but we looked a lot more solid. There was a lot more structure to our play. We looked a lot more in control. There was an actual shape. We actually looked like a proper football team rather than, you know, players, you know, being told, all right, your man marking him no matter where he goes on the pitch, you follow him. You know, we look like a proper team again. And you know, I know we lost, but you know, you take the missed chances into consideration. If Bamford's on the pitch, we probably bury a few of those. So yeah, it was a lot. It was very promising performance, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we do against Villa and Norwich this week.
Yeah, Lou, do you think the whenever you seen the lineup, did you think we're going away from these square pegs and round holes, and then you see how they actually lined up, and you're thinking Cox in midfield and Ailings in centre back?
Well,
are we sure Bielsa's gone?
I don't actually want to see Ayling at centre back again. I think we've seen enough of that. I actually think 𝐘𝐻 did all right in midfield. To be fair, I think he might have given the ball away a couple of times, but most so did everybody at points.
Yeah.
So I think mostly he did pretty well.
We've seen a different side to 𝐘𝐻, didn't we? He looked sort of comfortable attacking.
Well, I mean, it's always worrying, isn't it? It's the first time this season where we didn't really know how we were going to play, but people forget that, you know, these footballers that we have at Leeds, they're decent players, they're internationals. You know, a lot of them would have done zonal marking before, and the transition probably wouldn't have actually been as hard as it was hyped up to be. You know, like that the whole reason why they are professional footballers is because they are supposed to adapt in the game, on the training field, and I think they did that pretty well. I think as the weeks pass, I think maybe we might see the performances get even better. Jesse Marsch, Ed's right, is a good appointment. I think it's just because he's walked into something after something so special at Leeds. It's tough, but he's taken on the challenge. I've really liked his self-awareness, to be honest. I think he's whether or not he reads Twitter, that's like entirely up to him. But I think it would seem like he might have done, because he's very self-aware. I really like the way he speaks. I like the way that he's talking about Ted Lasso and some of the sort of taboos around his accent and things like that. And I like how he's basically just said all of it's irrelevant. So let's talk about the football, because I may talk like this and you may think I'm Ted Lasso, but I've actually got a lot to offer, and I'm not here to be Bielsa. I think he said all of the right things to sort of hush all the negativity, and we don't need it. We can all be negative at points, but I don't think right now it's not what we need. So I think he's saying the right things for sure.
Yeah. Jay, what did you make of the huddle after the match? I know it's something people have been talking about, and it's really, like, particularly with Talk Sport. They've been very, very critical, especially that useless Brummy Gabby Abongala bollocks. Was the huddle such a big deal? Like, should there have been such a big deal made out of it?
I don't get why it's a big deal, personally. I mean, if that's what a manager chooses to do, then that's what a manager chooses to do. He's just arrived at the club. He might do some stuff we're not used to seeing. I don't get why it's some kind of thing that people are blowing up. Like, why is it a bad thing? What is it about doing that it's a bad thing?
People are just desperate, aren't they, to say, how American is that?
Yeah. That's it. Got to be something,
exactly the reaction it got, was all these Americans coming over and taking over our sport. I think someone posted a photo from the American range in the club shop, which has been there for weeks, and people are straight away going, "Oh yeah, an American's running the team now, so now we've got American clothes."
Oh Jesus!
It baffles me. Baffles me.
People say anything to just have a pop. That's it.
Yeah, I loved how he explained it in the press conference today. He didn't understand why it was such a big deal, and it was irrelevant. The reason he done it was that he felt that it was the best time to get the feedback to the players whilst they were on the pitch, so they don't have that time feeling downhearted, walking up the tunnel, throwing their boots at their blockers and things. You know, I think he said himself, he's done it a few times. I hope we see more of these huddles, because I found it really refreshing, and it was very, like, back to grassroots. Whenever you're that kid in the team and the coach comes over to the middle of the pitch and someone's bringing over the orange slices and shit. So that's the next thing. We're gonna see Ed coming out with the orange slices tomorrow night.
Is it really any different to when, like, something happens, like there's an injury or whatever, and like 6 of the players run to the touchline and they're all having drinks and the coaching staff talk to them? Is it any different to that, really?
No,
it's happened at the end of the game instead of during a break.
I think it's just because it's something different that we don't usually see. You know, people don't like seeing something that's not, you know, normal in our football. You know, they don't like
the done
change.
thing.
Yeah, but I quite liked it, and you know, you got the Leeds fans in the background chanting away. Players can use that as motivation. He can refer to that in his team talk. So I quite liked it, and seeing Jesse Marsch go over to the fans and applaud them as well. Bielsa never did that. So it was quite a nice change, really.
For a while, he's not going to be able to win, is he? Some people were offended because he was wearing jeans and not like any Leeds tracksuits. So there's no pleasing him. I think he did a Leeds salute as well at some point, and someone went, "Whoa, lads, you've not been here long enough to be able to do that."
It's cringe. I've had a season ticket 65 years.
Yeah. So if he does it, it's tacky. But if a proper fan does it, it's fine.
Oh God love him. God love him. Well, listen, he doesn't have an easy job, does he? Like he's coming in whenever we're sitting in the bottom 6. There's no sugarcoating it. We are in a relegation battle. There's no two ways about it. There's 6 of us down there, and we're down to this last run in. Up first, we're just going to go straight into this. The run-in for the relegation battlers, who has who. Sitting 15th at the minute is Brentford, who have got, I just look at that, they've got Burnley, Leicester, Chelsea, West Ham, Watford, Spurs, Scum, Southampton, Everton, and then the last day of the season with us. Where are they getting them points? Because Brentford have been on a downward slope. I think they kind of plateaued whenever we got the draw in December. They had a great start to the season, but now they've kind of, aside from the win the other day, like I don't see Brentford staying up. When I just look at that, look, what do you make of their running? Where do you see them getting points from? Or do you see them getting points?
Are we talking about United, Luke? Or did you say Lou?
You're the only Luke on tonight. You need to lose that on.
On paper, I would agree with you, but I think Brentford will be all right. I think it's between us, Everton and Burnley, personally. Yeah. But saying that, I've looked at the run-ins, and no one has a harder run-in than Everton.
No.
I look at those fixtures more and think,
I'll get Everton's up. There's Everton there.
Where are they getting their points? And their home games there are massive for them.
Yeah.
But they've got.
I honestly think Everton's down.
Well, they should be down
that
anyway.
Might be a wee bit sort of neglectful of me to think that, but just looking at that lineup, looking at that running for them and their form, and the fact that Lampard clearly hasn't a fucking clue what he's doing.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't see Everton picking up any more than 3 points.
Not just that, Scott. A lot of people saying, they've got 2 games in hand. After the international break, they're potentially playing 2-3 times every week until the end of the season. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily beneficial to them, especially looking at those fixtures as well. On top of the fact that they might even get points deducted, which is unlikely anyway. I'm sure Frank will end up getting an apology instead of a points deduction. But
of course he will.
We were talking about this points deduction earlier.
There's no way it's going to happen. It will be a fine. It will be anything but.
Apparently, there's been a year extension because of COVID, so they've got till next season to get their finances in order. And even then, it'll go through the process. They'll go through their appeals, and at that point, they'll probably be promoted from League One when their points deducted.
So we'll have to play the waiting game. They'll be in League One then because they'll get their points deduction when they're in the Championship.
Yeah. So it'll be Wayne Rooney's derby against Frank Lampard's Everton in the playoff.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a tough one. I don't see Everton getting too much. Ed, what about you? How do you see Everton faring?
I can't see them picking up another point this season, in all honesty. I mean, you look at those teams they're playing. Yeah, their home games will be big, but their home games are against seriously good opposition. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very, very tough for them. And they have a real chance of going down, 100%.
Yeah. Jay, have you got anything to add on the Everton's run?
Yeah, I mean, looking at that, the next 4 games, unless they shit out a draw somewhere, I see 4 defeats for them. So the game that you might think might be winnable would be against Burnley. But by that point, they should be so broken and bereft of confidence that they won't even get anything there by if we're lucky.
Yeah,
they're not playing.
Not West Ham. They don't have.
West Ham. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So Everton.
I can't see properly. I've turned my brightness right down because of my battery, and I can't see I can't see the logos properly.
Everton's home games there
Scum, or is it Palace? I can't
Scum, Chelsea, and Brentford. So they're potentially losing. They're going to lose definitely 2 out of 3 of their home games. They're not going to beat Scum or Chelsea.
Yeah. I see. Just looking at those, the only ones I see them potentially picking up anything is Brentford and Wolves. Maybe Palace. I can see them getting 3 draws, if anything. I just don't see them picking up a win.
It was Palace, the badge I couldn't see properly.
Yes. I'll wait to see whenever Spurs comes up because you can't bloody see it. The Spurs badge is awful. Yeah, so it looks like we're pretty much all in agreement. Everton are fucked, and Lampard is going to be the first manager in history to get Everton relegated out of the top flight. That's good for us because that's one more team that you're kind of going, yeah, they're worse than us. Brentford, we just lightly touched on. Brentford have got a tough run in as well. Again, last day of the season against us. Before that, they've got Everton. But their next 3, Burnley are hit or miss. They're in and out, and they're survival specialists, really. I think Burnley could scrape safety. They could maybe even end up finishing above us. God knows. Depending on how we go in the next few. Yeah. Where do you see Brentford picking up anything out of those? The Burnley, Leicester, Chelsea, and West Ham next.
I can see them grabbing a couple of draws along the way. They may get something with Burnley even. Not sure about Leicester. Chelsea, I don't see anything for them. West Ham, don't see anything for them. Watford, maybe a point, maybe a win. Depends how they
put a lot of fight up against Arsenal there, and they've actually got me worried that they could end up sneaking survival because the players look like they're ready for a fight.
This is the problem. It's the fact that the teams below us seem to be starting to actually show some spirit. And, you know, like you said about Burnley could get out of it there. They possibly could because out of all the ones down there at the moment, they look the strongest.
Yeah.
They're starting to put wins together. And as the old cliche goes, they do this every year. You know, they sit down there coasting through season until shit gets serious and they're like, oh, crap, we better start winning some games now. And then they just start banging results out, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it, and I wish they'd go down because I'm sick of seeing it. They're a nothing club. Go away. Go away.
Survival specialist on Dutch. Bad girls ain't got shit on me.
But yeah, I don't see much for Brentford anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's what Burnley's got coming up since we're talking about them now as well. And they've got quite a congested sort of fixtures there. I think they've got 4 games in the space of about a week and a half coming up with West Ham, Wolves, and Watford, and then Villa. They have a couple of games coming up here that they could possibly win or get something from with Brentford and Norwich. What do you think?
Yeah, you'd expect them to get probably 9 points out of those last few at least. Yeah, you're looking at Norwich, Watford, probably Brentford, maybe a draw here and there. Yeah, probably 10 points minimum. You'd expect Burnley to pick up from now until the end of the season. I think they'll survive. I think it's between us, Everton, and Brentford. I think Brentford could easily get dragged into the battle, but yeah, they might just survive. I'm hoping the last day of the season for us isn't a relegation decider.
That needs to be a dead rubber, 100%.
I hope not.
Well, you remember the stat they always used to bang on about whenever Leeds went to Brentford, and we've not won there since the 50s. Like, they're going to be banging on about that. That game fully needs to be a dead rubber.
Yeah.
New stadium now, though, so that don't count.
Good point.
Well, then, are they not in the old the Brentford Community Stadium no more?
The Lego Stadium.
Oh, Jesus. Well, sure, that's a waste of money. They're going back down.
They're in that little thing that they built out there that's like an IKEA stadium.
Yeah.
Flat pack thing.
I always think it looks
20,000
like a Lego.
Yeah. So,
That was part of Pontus' signing deal, wasn't it?
Having his name on the flat pack stadium.
Do you know what I think would be really, really oddly poetic is that if somehow Newcastle completely fuck up the next load of games and they end up back down in this relegation battle, that last match of the season, Burnley and Newcastle, I think that could just be karma. If Burnley beat Newcastle and Newcastle end up getting relegated, it's like, yeah, you come and take our fucking striker. We just went and got a better one and you're down the Championship. I think that would be the only thing I would enjoy out of that there. But to be honest, I think Burnley will scrape it. I think they'll scrape it.
Yeah, I do.
Just looking at the run in there. Right, bottom two. Let's be honest. I think everyone's pretty much expecting Watford and Norwich to get relegated. They've still got Liverpool and City, and last game of the season's Chelsea. By the time they play us, we're going to be in good form after a couple of wins.
Hopefully.
Well, that's it. I think the Arsenal game the other day, Watford looked dangerous. I don't know if they've got enough in the tank to make that consistent. What do you think, Luke?
You mean Lou?
Yeah, he means Lou.
Yeah, Lou, sorry. I've only got one this week.
But that's why I got confused before. I was like, no, United Luke's not here tonight. I don't know. I think everybody's sort of assuming Watford and Norwich are gone, aren't they, really? And they're talking about we're all talking about the third from bottom spot being like the last one. This, without a doubt, is the biggest week of our season. 2 wins here with 9 games to play. You'd think we should be all right. 4 wins out of 12, I think, is enough for Leeds to be safe, and couple of draws. I'd like to think we wouldn't lose all of them. I might be wrong. Watford are probably one of the worst sides I've seen at Ellen Road this year. I mean, if we were in any sort of form, we'd have probably won the game 6 or 7-0. The amount of chances we had in that game, it was a miracle we only won it 1-0. But Watford were a really, really poor side. I don't think they'll stay up. Norwich, not a chance. I think they only won 5 games in the year they got relegated. They need, I think, 5 wins from here to be anywhere near safe. So, yeah, I don't fancy Watford.
There. You're saying they need 5 wins. Where the hell are they getting 5 wins from?
Well, that's what I mean.
Jesus.
They're down. I think that. And
they could be down as soon as Sunday.
No, I don't. I don't feel bad for Dean Smith at all.
If they lose to us on Sunday, they lose to Chelsea, then us, they're definitely gone.
Yeah. See, by the time they get to the Scum game, it's a foregone conclusion. They're pretty much relegated.
Yeah.
But again, as you say, they give Liverpool a bit of a run. This is where I'm a wee bit concerned, because we're an unknown quantity at the minute. We don't really know what they expect from us now that Bielsa's gone. We know Man Markin's gone, so we're going to be defending differently, which means teams no longer have found us out.
Yeah.
They have to come up with new ideas. Jay, are you worried about any of these teams around us possibly picking up points where we're not expecting them to?
I think there's probably going to be a couple of points picked up here and there. It's just the way it seems to be going this season. But Everton, I don't really see doing much at all. As we've said, Burnley, they look like they could do. They could get a few wins, but we'll see. It's just there's a lot of anything could happen. Games coming up now. It's just all bets are kind of off. It's that stage of the season now, and as we said, some of these teams are starting to put little bits of form together at least, and like they've all done better than we have in recent weeks. Every single one of them. Yeah, we have been the worst team in, say, the bottom 5 or 6. I think
we're bottom of the form table as well at the minute.
Exactly, but as you say, we've got the new system now. We've got new manager bounce, all being well. So hopefully that's going to be enough for us. But it really is a case of us looking after ourselves. I think if we start worrying about everybody else, we can't rely on them to help us out. It's just one of them things. People are picking up results, like you say. Norwich gave Liverpool a good game. I mean, you get that, don't you, when it's kind of a free hit sometimes, where a team's not expected to do anything. The pressure's off, so I wouldn't necessarily worry about them because of that one game. But I think that they're banging trouble. I don't see them getting out at all. They don't have enough for me. Yeah. We've got a chance of staying up. Everton, if they started finding the bollocks, could possibly stay up, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No,
but they've got the squad, they've got the players. They're on such a horrendous run.
Do you think that those games against City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, we can write off, or do you think that we can, for once, be one of those teams when we need it most, like Burnley beating Tottenham, for instance, and last season they beat Liverpool 1-0 as well? Do you think for once we can finally be, when we play Chelsea at home, for instance, just get 3 points, miraculous performance, maybe right in the middle of those are running, sort of being sort of okay potentially by then? I would love to see it, but of all the teams out of we're not going to beat City or Arsenal. I don't think this season, but Chelsea are not that special, and we gave them a real good run at Stamford Bridge.
They were lucky to beat us,
and they were
done by another penalty.
Well, we were cheated out of that game.
Yeah.
Big time.
The Rudiger, I don't know, dive. Do you want to call it? I don't know.
Rudiger being wanker.
I don't see why we can't possibly get something. I mean, we've always had that in us the last few years. We do pull out shock results here and there. This season, they've been shocks of the wrong kind. That's the problem. But we've always got that in us. I think if we are in a healthier position by then, and the pressure's off a little, I think we're more likely to see us get something than we are if we're under pressure. I don't feel like we scrap that well.
That'd be a good atmosphere that day. Hopefully, like a similar sort of toxic atmosphere for the Chelsea game, and maybe
all being well.
Yeah,
all being well. Hopefully, no one else gets the picture in Yorkshire Evening Post.
Yeah,
you look at our next 5 alone.
The next 5, which are biggest.
Yeah.
You need at least 3 wins, if not 4, in the next 5.
I agree.
Because 3 of those are home games. Southampton must win. Norwich must win. You'd expect Watford away. You'd expect us to win that. Pick up a draw against Villa on Thursday, I'm fine with. And then Wolves away, try pick up a point. But you'd expect at least 3 wins from the next 5, 100%.
Yeah.
Are you happy with 4 points in the next 2 games? Because I would be.
Yeah.
I would be. But
I'd take a point tomorrow night, but we have to win Sunday.
Someone asked last night whether if we won the Villa game, would it be as important to win the Norwich game? And my answer to that is yes, because if we were to win the Villa game, that's almost getting points.
Well, the expectation is 6 points then. It's simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's not a case of, well, we've got us 3 points now. We only need 1 from this game. I don't want to see that attitude. I want to see us fighting for everything.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think the players would think that. I think the conservative Leeds fan would think, the win we weren't expecting on Thursday. So point is fine. Norwich are not a good team. We should beat them comfortably at Ellen Road.
We should. Out of those next 5, there's 2 games 100% it will be unacceptable not to win them, and it's Norwich and Watford.
Yeah.
In my opinion, even a draw there is not good enough.
No.
That's right.
But wouldn't it be such a Leeds thing? It would be such a Leeds thing to go out and beat Villa, Wolves, and Southampton and get dicked by Norwich and Watford. It would be Leeds.
It would. And the problem is they gain on us then, so they are the games we need to win. So,
but we just need momentum like once over the course of 5 games. Like Ed said, these 5 games, you get that momentum and you get 9-10 points out of the next 5 games. We're correct. 33 points. We're all right. None of the games are a free hit or anything like that. But you'd think 35 points will be enough.
Yeah, and then you're going into that Chelsea game at home with a lot more confidence. And it's that Chelsea home game which I think out of the last few games of the season, look at Man City. I think that's a write-off. Arsenal away is probably a write-off. But Chelsea at home, we always seem to do well against Chelsea when they've been under Thomas Tuchel. So.
Yeah.
You build up momentum in these next 5. Anything can happen in the Chelsea game. Palace can at least get a point there. But, I think we'll be fine this season.
I think we've got the measure of Palace. I think we'll beat Palace.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine and envision that by the time we get the Man City, we're going to be safe, but we're also going to have not lost a game from now. Like I'm just looking at those fixtures and thinking to myself, do you know what? Right up to Man City, we could, and I'm being so cocky and confident right now, but we really could get the Man City without losing another game. Just looking at those fixtures.
I think we'll know. We could probably say confidently that after the next two fixtures, everything is about the next two fixtures.
Yeah.
4 points minimum, and then we can start. Well, I mean, Wolves are, of all of the teams in the Prem to play against, are the most frustrating based on tactics. We've got to look at Conor Cody's face for 90 minutes, which I'm not looking forward to. Like, they are so annoying, and it's going to be the same again. So that's
the last game I was at was that Wolves game at home, and I was sitting with big Punjabi whites in the family stand. he kept sort of looking at me and saying, "Calm down." But like, I just remember Wolves time wasting from about the 20th minute, and I was just like, "Please tell me this is not how they play football." Like, I have never been so frustrated by a team. They had probably, from my experience of ever being to Allen Road, the worst support. They were bloody non-existent. And the team just didn't want to play. See Raul Jimenez, every frigging tackle, he went down. He was worse than Bruno Fernandes.
There was a stat for that game.
I've never seen anyone dive like that since John fucking Daly. And or Tom Daly, sorry. John's mate. I would just love Wolves are a team I would love to see us do over in their own backyard. But I honestly can't see past these next couple of fixtures and saying, look, if what Jesse is saying is backed up, we'll be safe before we even get to Chelsea, I think.
Well, there was a stat for that Wolves game, Scotty, just before you move on. The second half, I think it was 14 minutes the ball was in play, something like that.
It wouldn't surprise me. That was the one Joffy came on and we got the penalty, like the last kick of the game.
Well,
and the roar when Joffy came on.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Rodrigo was all of us, wasn't he? When he's
officially part of the first team squad as well. It's great to see. Yeah, I'm feeling confident. What about you? The last run in compared to these other teams then? Lou, you feeling confident?
I don't think confidence the word at the minute, but I think that's something we've sort of got to earn in the next 3 or 4 games. If we can get that momentum, I think we can have plenty of confidence. It would be nice to maybe go into that Man City game potentially if we do end up needing something for definite, then maybe they've got the title sewn up by then. That might be that might be beneficial because there's a lot of games towards the back end of the season that become dead rubbers for various teams, especially those in the mid-table, you'd say. Not really going to be that stage yet for Wolves because they're looking at Europa League probably, aren't they, at the moment. But again, like I say about the Palace, I think we've got the measure of them. I think we can definitely get 3 points there. I think Palace have had a few good performances, but I think a lot of the hype around them is still the whole Pat Vieira thing. I still don't think that they're actually, a really decent side. I think they've got a couple of decent players. Conor Gallagher is, they're a much better side when he plays, and I think that speaks volumes. But other than that, Zaha turns up whenever he feels like it. That I think that there is 3 points waiting for us, definitely.
I really hope so.
Yeah, but the worry is, Scott, having Man City and Arsenal back to back, for me, they're at that stage of the season, if we're still really in it, losing 2 in a row at that point, needing a win against ultimately 2 bogey teams for Leeds, Brighton and Brentford.
Yeah.
We're not going to be filled with much confidence.
There'd be no optimism then. Let's be honest.
I think we'd have all been ready. We'll be like, yeah, we're down.
Yeah, that's the harsh truth, isn't it? Mentally, if we get the Brighton needing 4 points or even 1 friggin' win out of our last 2 games, I think we'll all be pretty much shitting ourselves, reserved that we're probably relegated. Even more so if we get the friggin' Brentford in the last day and it'll be the losers relegated. You know,
I think the
don't want to
important
get to that.
point you made, Scott, was the fact that our tactics, Bielsa ball against Brighton, are they a bogey team because of that? And Potter found the way to play against us, which is why we never really get anything. That teams are going to take a few more games to work us out now. We've got that. We've got that. We'll attack differently. We'll defend differently. So they're going to actually have to work it out. Whereas I think that's why we haven't been able to get consistency this year, because what looks like just about every manager has worked out how to play against Leeds.
Yeah.
So you could say Brighton are a bogey team, but they're a bogey team when Bielsa's been in charge. So potentially we've got that in our favour. I mean, I might be clutching at straws here. I'm looking for positives, but none of us want to go into those last two games needing anything.
God no.
100%.
It's going to be too much to handle.
Well, we'll look mainly just we'll tie up tonight here just with the next two games. Are they must win or are they must not lose? Lou?
4 points. 4 points
minimum.
is 4 points bare minimum. So yeah, must not lose, but I don't think 2 points from these two games is good enough. It has to be a win and a draw. Ideally, I'd like the win to be against Norwich, because I think there'll be question marks if we don't beat them. So definitely the expectation would be 6 points if we go and beat Villa tomorrow, which we're capable of doing. Our record against them is fairly decent. If all's going well, I'd like to see Bamford get some minutes. If Tyrone Mings starts, that's obviously a good starting point for us, because
we know Bamford is going to play. But this is what I'm loving. I feel Jesse Marsch is a bit of he seems to be someone that will try his best to put his money where his mouth is, and he flat out no back doors again today. Bamford will play tomorrow from the bench. He's made it clear he'll not be starting. Ed, does that fill you with a bit more optimism going into Villa, knowing that Patrick Bamford likes to play with Villa like a 6-year-old plays with their dolls?
Yeah, sure. No. See, having Patrick Bamford back is obviously brilliant. Obviously, it was on the bench against Leicester. I think that was more of a move to try and get fans on Jesse Marsch's side. I don't think he was ever going to play against Leicester. I think he was just there to say, "Oh yeah, look, Leeds fans, Bamford's back. It's going to be okay soon." But yeah, if he plays on Thursday night, it'll fill everyone with a lot more confidence. Just seeing one of these three players back finally. So yeah, Bamford being back, massive positive. And to answer the question whether they must win or must not lose, Norwich is a must win. Aston Villa is a must not lose. Agree with Lou. 4 points bare minimum. Yeah. If we beat Villa on Thursday, then it's 6 points. We need 6 points. We need to beat Norwich 100%. And tomorrow night against Villa, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. Jesse Marsch's first home game. It's always good games against Aston Villa. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Jay, do you see us conceding 3 goals against Villa tomorrow?
I think it probably depends who's playing, to be honest with you, but I would hope not. The system that they exploited so well last time is now gone, so they can't refer back to that game and say we'll do the same again, because they're going to be playing against a different setup. So all being well, that'll stump them a bit and they won't know what to do. And as we saw against Leicester, first game playing that way, they did a good job, to be fair. They've had another week now working at it nearly, so I'm expecting us to do well. I don't see us conceding 3 goals.
It'll not feel as rushed for them, because I think obviously with all the changes Jesse tried to implement without making too many changes, i.e. still keeping Bill as a centre back. Hopefully that's not the case.
That has to be gone.
It sounds like it's going to probably be Llorente and Strout tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I hope so.
The thing with in that sort of midfield holding role, and I think he had said before about he had seen 𝐘𝐒 play in Germany as a midfielder. So again, I think we're going to see that sort of 4-2-2-2, 4-2-4, like the D line, then your holding midfielders, and then your offensive line up there, all 4 of them swapping about. Rafinha, being allowed to run riot, and hopefully he does run riot.
It's time for Rodrigo and Rafinha to really.
They need to step it up.
No, it really is.
Like both of them massively. Like I think Rodrigo
really
did against Norwich away this season when we really needed a win that day. We still weren't very good that day. Rodrigo and Raf definitely like these two games. Rafinha probably particularly, who's been a bit off it.
Yeah, so, he hasn't scored since Palace, is it? That's the last time he scored.
And that was a penalty, wasn't it?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's like 7 games or something.
Yeah. But no, I don't know why. And I know sometimes I like to be overly optimistic, but I have
Rafinha scored against Scum.
Oh, Scum! Actually, it was.
Did he?
Yes. It was him and
Rodrigo, yeah.
Rodrigo, yeah.
It was both.
That's right. How the hell did we forget that?
I just remember him getting one disallowed against, was it West Ham? Was it West Ham or was it Liverpool? My brain's gone.
Yeah, that was Rodrigo, wasn't it?
Completely.
I know, but Click who got one disallowed.
Yeah,
Click disallowed at West Ham.
Rafinha had one.
That was
I can't remember when.
Right. The comments are coming in there for the score predictions tomorrow. Apologies if anyone feels like we've ignored you in the comments tonight. You have come along late because we started at 8 o'clock. So you have all came and we're nearly done. But you're allowed to watch it from the beginning, okay? Gail, hope you're well, love. You're going 2 each. I was about to say 2 each for Leeds, but both teams will get 2. Steve Ben Abraham, what's the crack, lad? 3-1 for Mr. Leeds, I'm saying. John Smith, 3-2 to Leeds. And hopefully beat Norwich as well there. Get those comments coming in. Have a debate with each other. Lads, I'm going to go around the table here. I'm going to start off with you, Jay. What are you going for your score prediction tomorrow night?
Oh, God. I've forgotten what I chose for this now on Ought to Know Better last night. I think I went for 3-1. I think.
You did?
I don't see us keeping a clean sheet yet, but I don't see them scoring more than 1.
Spot on. So you're going 3-1. And Ed, what are you saying, mate?
1-1.
1 each?
Not going to keep a clean sheet, and we're not scoring many recently. So, yeah, 1-1.
Lou, what about you, mate?
I'm going to go 1-0 Leeds.
Nice. I'm going to stick with my pre-match prediction from earlier on. I'm saying we're going to win 2-1. So I'm going to keep those wee nuggets there just to see how we're fair, because obviously the last time we got all 3 results in that week extremely wrong. Extremely wrong.
I can imagine.
I personally would love to see us do one over on Stevie Gerrard for leaving Rangers in the middle of the season, the wee prick. Few more comments coming in for scores. Wayne, you're going 2-1 Leeds as well. Logan, what's a crack, lad? You're going 3-2 to Leeds and 2-0 to Rangers. Are Rangers playing tomorrow? Or is that on now? Alison and Marty, they're over for the next 2 games, so enjoy. My brother's over for the Norwich game. So if any of you see a ginger version of me with more hair, and he's limping because he broke his foot at a local football match, trying to get rid of a pile of thugs. So yeah, feel free to buy my bro a pint or 2.
Who's going tomorrow? Ed and Jay, you going tomorrow?
I'm going, yeah.
Yep. Of course, he's ticket holder, so there, everything.
Same. Always there.
I'll be there Sunday. I can't make it tomorrow.
My mate's been struck down with COVID, so I've been and got his season ticket off him earlier. Just, showing a bit of compassion.
Don't tell anyone.
No,
grasses everywhere.
It's not to use. It's just to look at.
Or just to look at, yeah.
I've got my own, so it's okay. It's just for somebody else to look at and pretend that he's got one.
Yeah, just show him what it looks like. Yeah.
Aspirational.
All right. Norwich then. I think we all pretty much said we're going to beat them. Lou, what are you going for the score against Norwich?
So we're going to be mega confident after our 1-0 win against Villa, and we're going to win this 3-0 at home. It's going to be nice and sunny. We're going to play some nice football.
Right, hang on. We don't know about it being sunny. Like, don't be saying
You've
things
gone
like that.
too
Get me
far
excited
now.
to get gardening.
It'll be freezing cold but sunny. I'm just trying to recreate this whole like Stoke at home thing in my head on a day that we really need a win. So that's the sort of vibe I'm going for.
You're excited him. He wants to get on his ride-on mower.
I mean, I couldn't care less if it's snowing as long as we win. And I think we'll beat Norwich. I think we'll win 3-0.
Brilliant. I love it. Ed, what about you? You're saying it'll be a draw tomorrow night, 1 each. Carry that over into the Norwich game. What do you think we're going to get?
2-0.
2-0. Nice. It's just very simple, straight to the point there, Eduardo.
Yeah. Yeah, so the score prediction. All the score predictions. So there is 2-0.
Jay, give us your score prediction for Norwich. I know you haven't done your pod for Norwich yet.
No, we mentioned it last night. We did this and covered both, so because we won't get on again until after that one. So if there's 2 games coming up, we throw them all in. So I'm sticking with what I picked.
I apologise. I had it
How
on,
dare you?
But I obviously didn't pay attention enough. I zoned out sometimes. I'll re-listen. Just don't worry. I always do.
Don't you worry, pal. We'll let you off. Don't you worry. I went for a big 4-0 because after the decimation of Villa, the Whites are going to be running riot. The shackles are off.
Oh,
you know. Go team!
Yeah.
All that business. Going to get a foam finger.
Don't. I think you can. Right, see if any of you get a foam finger. I want just to wave it in the cheese wedge and take a video and post it on TikTok and see how quickly you get mauled.
It will be.
You can buy foam fingers on the club shop.
Yeah.
Oh man. Turn up with a USA scarf on and a foam finger and a pretend American accent. I'm here to see the new coach, guys.
Go team. Go offensive.
I'm so excited.
I
love soccer.
Oh, Jesus. Right, for Norwich,
don't say that
I am going to go with my prediction for Norwich. Very, very similar to you. Jay, you've went 4-0. Ed, you said 2-0. Luke, you've said 3-0. I still think we're way off getting a clean sheet.
Luke didn't say 3-0. Luke said 3-0.
That's what I said. Oh, look.
I'm too polite to pull you up on it, but it's happened so many times. I'm just putting up with it.
Luke,
I appreciate this tonight because you're sitting there getting annoyed, saying this Scott bloke keeps getting his name wrong.
You wait till you walk around tomorrow and responding
different friggin' fans. Oh, I'm actually going to go 3-1 for the Norwich game. I don't see us getting a clean sheet just yet, but
controversial.
I think we're going to be certainly restricting the amount of chances the other teams are getting. We've seen it against Leicester. Harvey Barnes, I think, had Dallas's number, unfortunately. And that just comes down to the quality of player there. You know, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah. I think the same thing happened at Ellen Road, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think Dallas was at fault for Barnes' goal last time.
He is a very good player.
Dallas has been really poor.
Yeah.
Dallas has been really poor.
I hate saying it, but I do agree. He has been a bit off it.
I don't think anybody's excelled, have they?
No, but against Leicester, I thought everyone improved, but Dallas, he gave the ball away so many times. He couldn't defend well. I think he's been way off it.
Ealing didn't improve either.
To be fair, he's been messed about quite a bit over the years. Bielsa playing him just about every position. You know, I think he'd quite like to settle into just a regular position maybe now.
The cook's down cleaner because he can just go anywhere. Yeah,
wherever you want him.
That's it. Well, listen, thanks very, very much for joining us this evening. For all of you that decided to show up half an hour late, this show starts at 8 o'clock. What the hell? None of this sitting up past 9 o'clock nonsense for me. I'm getting too old for that shit. Danny Glover. Jay, thank you for joining us, representing the Orla Knows Better.
No problem,
Make sure you check out the guys' podcast and their channels as well. You obviously all know Luke Cooper from LS11 and my wee Ed from All Things Leeds. I had to get that right because the first time I brought Ed on, and I've known what channel Ed's from, but I said he was from a different channel altogether. Even had the other channel's logo up, and God love you, Ed. You didn't even call me up on it until afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I know.
And
Well, listen,
no wonder
thanks
he's pulling
very
you up
much
for every
joining
mistake
us.
now.
And, well, that's it. But make sure you click like, subscribe to this channel, and subscribe to these three guys' channels too. And we'll see you all, well, in the next one, whenever that may happen. And hopefully we still have the same manager and we're a few points clear from relegation. That's all I'd be saying on that. Get her done, Ezra!